So Beata Justkowiak, as I said, is originally from Poland, living in Singapore. We're very, very grateful that you're joining us today. And she is a psychologist and a life coach. She's really focused on mental strength, mental wellness, and helping us to transform our lives in really exciting ways that we didn't think possible. She works in a really, really practical way. I have experience of working with Beata before, and she really helps us to relate our own current situation, our current lives to the place that we want to get to how we can make our lives better in very, very real, practical ways. So without further ado, let us welcome Beata.
Thank you, Clara. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. So my name is Beata, and I'm a psychologist and life coach. And my approach is to blend psychology with life coaching. I don't believe that one approach is going to help everyone, so I always tailor it. And I want to make psychology practical. After studying 6 years psychology, I thought like, amazing, this is cool, science-based approach, a lot of things, but none of it is practical. And then I was like, oh, okay, so what should I do now? So then I went to study life coaching, and my interest was in sports psychology because I was an athlete, and just because I had an injury, I couldn't keep running and taking part in a competition. So I went to study psychology. So if I will be moving a lot, it's because this is my energy, this is my passion, and I will try to provoke you to think a little bit differently. So my goal for today's session is to provoke you, and probably my kind of like a movement a little bit will allow you not to sit and watch this session like this and it's like, oh, cool morning, right? So I want you to, if you feel like you want to energize yourself a little bit, I encourage you to do that. And if we can, I know you don't want to switch on the camera, that's fine. If we can switch on camera at the end, that would be cool for a photo, because I want to have a photo with you. But if you can, I would like you to stand up and do one exercise that I want to show you with me, and that would be exercise that is really great for releasing stress. So I know I need it now because I'm about to give a talk, so I need to de-stress a little bit, and I think I can share that with you, even though it's not about procrastination, or maybe it is. We'll find out later. So let's stand up for a moment if you can. I need to move my chair. All right. And now I need you to use your imagination, okay? Do you like spaghetti? Do you have any fans of Italian food, right? Spaghetti, I love spaghetti, cool. So I want you to imagine you are a raw pasta, like raw spaghetti, okay? So I want you to stand tall. And this is literally a stress release technique from the book, okay, from the DBT technique. So it's not that it's something that I made up, okay? So just to kind of like a backup myself. So I want you to be super straight, like tense everything. Okay, you don't see this in big blows, but tense everything, okay? And when I tell you 3, so I will count 1, 2, 3. And when I tell you 3, I want you to move and become a cooked spaghetti. And cooked spaghetti, there's something like this, so it's like raw spaghetti and then cooked spaghetti, okay? So I want you to go down, okay, really down, and move and shake everything, okay? I know it's a little bit silly, but silliness in the morning is awesome, right? So raw spaghetti, tense everything, tense up your shoulders, chest, hands, everything, okay, 100% tension. And now 3, 2, 1, raw cooked spaghetti. Cool, thank you so much. We can sit now. So when you are stressed, when you are stressed, tensed, and just about to do something important, try to do something silly, because this is helping us to change the content of emotions. And it helps us to snap out the brain from something negative and something like anxiety and kind of like a panicky. And so we won't keep developing the cognitions around the anxiety, but it will bring a little bit of silliness. And if we release tension that is stored in the body, even though we provoke and we kind of like a fake the tension, intentionally to kind of try to tense everything, we release. And then we get a signal in the brain that, we can release and we can still function. So it's safe. So we don't have to create extra tension. All right. I feel better. I hope you do as well. Let me show you my presentation, because I know some of you are visual, so you like to see things, right? If you will have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat box. I will not open chat box now, so I will only open it afterwards, because otherwise I will lose the train of my thoughts. But if you have any like a burning question and you feel brave, unmute yourself and ask right away. Okay, I will be okay with that. So I will not take this as interruptions. That will be all right. Okay, let me. Oh yeah, so that's me. I'm Beata, psychologist and life coach. And if you have also any question that will be a little bit more personal and you don't want to share it because you don't want to reveal something, feel free to like write me an email. I'll be happy to answer. Okay. So don't leave any questions unanswered. As soon as your brain generates some question, it's okay to give the answer. There are no silly, stupid questions. Okay. Treat yourself with such a high respect that you would treat your best friend. Okay. So if your brain comes up with something like, oh, really? I've heard something else. Ask it, clarify right away. All right. Okay. So we are, I don't want to say growing up, but we are bombarded with the message to be strong and productive and effective. And we have to perform all the time. And this message to be strong, to be productive, to perform, whether you're an athlete, whether you're preparing for some competition, or and your procrastination will be only about hitting the snooze button when you just like should wake up at 4:30 to train, or you are entrepreneur and you just don't want to do admin stuff. You do like to do everything else, but you kind of procrastinate on the admin stuff. Whatever you do, I want you to now take a pen and paper if it's possible. And I want you to come up with a list of things, with a list of tasks that you tend to procrastinate. Okay. I know from my personal example that I procrastinate to have I don't want to, I will say emotional discussions with my husband. So even though it's usually the opposite, like men would kind of procrastinate any important emotional discussion, I tend to procrastinate it because I know exactly how it makes him feel, and I know exactly what kind of strategies he will use to try to get out of that. And I just don't like to be chasing and knowing all of this. I tend to procrastinate in my business, a little bit of the admin stuff, and I tend to procrastinate also in my personal, like a training life, because the sport is still a big part of my life. I tend to procrastinate being systematic, especially when it's like an additional activity. So let's say I do Muay Thai. Muay Thai is great. I do it systematically, but when it comes to going to gym and it's up to me, so there is no aspect of someone else waiting for me, I tend to just kind of procrastinate, right? So make a list, and I want you to circle 2 activities that you tend to procrastinate most of, right? And probably you've come up already with some kind of strategy to handle it, to see how you can make it more effective, right? And we tend to believe that procrastination is about time management, or that it's about lack of motivation, that if you're not doing certain thing, it's because you don't care about it. It's not important enough, or you don't make time for it, or that you have, I know, you lack some self-discipline or self-control or willpower, right? And we tend to put so much things on a time management and a motivation, where in fact it's not about that. So if your coping strategies with procrastination were about making sure that your time management skills are better, it's great, because you kind of like upskill yourself a little bit, right? So it's great. But what I'm about to tell you today is something completely different. And if you are doing a little bit of digging in onto like a procrastination, perfectionism, you may know where I'm going with that. If not, let the brain be surprised. Okay. Let's understand procrastination. I know there are lots of questions. These questions, when I was Googling procrastination, these questions were coming up the most often. It's like, what is this procrastination? Why do I procrastinate? I want to know why and how to fix it quickly. What are the psychological roots of procrastination? So why do we procrastinate? It's usually we do it because of the variety of thoughts and habits. But fundamentally, we avoid tasks that we don't enjoy doing. And this is the crucial part. We avoid tasks that we don't enjoy doing, or we believe that we will not enjoy them as much as something else. So we come up with something else to do, right? Even a cleaning or organizing your socks now will be much better than doing something else that you're supposed to do. And then this is related to something that is really important, that we don't want to make ourselves unhappy. We don't want to make ourselves unsatisfied, and that there is a fear. So we're trying to remove this fear of not performing well enough or not being prepared well enough. So we push this task for later, right? So some of the psychological roots of procrastination would be low self-confidence, right? Anxiety, lack of structure, but at the same time, perfectionism, right? And perfectionism is interesting because it shows us that we want to do something that is really best, to the best we can do it, but we very often are fearful that we're not going to reach that goal. Therefore, we tend to procrastinate. So perfectionists are the best in the procrastination. And I know that because I'm a recovering perfectionist, right? So recovering, because that's a long journey. There are a lot of perfectionistic behaviors that need to be rewired. The good thing about procrastination and perfectionism that are overlinked is that when you're going to increase your awareness and you're going to work on your habits, this is when you're going to nail it. This is when you're going to hack it. Okay. So does the procrastination serves us any purpose? We can see it as that it's giving us a little bit of relief. We can see it as like, oh, okay, I don't have to do that. But actually the procrastination is self-defeating behavior, okay? So it can be seen as a protective, but only for perfectionists. So it protects us from fear of failure, fear of not being good enough, fear of not performing well enough. So psychologically, it gives us a quick short-term relief, like, oh, okay, I don't have to do it now. But then it builds up, and it builds up in a different emotions, different feelings, different thoughts. And this is where we are all different, because we perceive and we have a different patterns of thoughts and emotions and dealing with those. Okay. There is very often a approach that we are almost like certain or sure that we will, if we don't do it now, if I skip a gym today, that's okay because I can go tomorrow, right? That's another kind of like a self-lying strategy, because we are actually patting ourselves and, oh, that's okay, that's okay. If I skip the gym today, that's fine, because I can go tomorrow. So I raise my mood. I build up this positivity then about skipping something that was important to me, because I believe that tomorrow I will have much more energy, much more motivation, and I will actually do it and execute it, right? But within the whole day, the guilt will try to kind of like sit on the other shoulder and I'm like, right? So be aware of how you feel when you procrastinate or when you're just about to procrastinate. And the key message, and it's absolutely awesome, and you can see my excitement to share it, that is that procrastination is an emotion regulation problem. It's not a time management problem, which means that you are already mastering your skills. So put a lot more attention into what you feel and how you feel things. So observe your emotions. And this is something that we know from the research, that procrastination is a source of procrastination are unprocessed and unresolved emotions, or like an emotion, especially the discomfort avoidance, okay? And how we can fix it, regulating our emotions. And this is cool because we have so many tools in psychology and holistic approach on regulating our emotions, right? So how to? There are some healthy ways to manage your feelings that typically trigger procrastination, okay? And why I want you to work on the feelings before the procrastination is triggered or started, it's because it's much easier to deal with the feelings that are just before the procrastination, the act itself is starting. So it's basically the feelings around discomfort, okay? Maybe feeling not good enough, not sure enough, feeling uncomfortable. Maybe you can't really name it and verbalize it, but you can feel it in your body, right? It's easier to tolerate and learn how to tolerate and work and regulate the discomfort and tiny bit of stress than what comes later after you procrastinate. That comes stress, guilt, self-criticism, and self-criticisms that will hit your self-confidence, self-worth. So it's really much more intense and much more heavy, okay? So how you can manage those feelings that show up at the beginning is through self-compassion, through creating curiosity, okay? And being a little bit of creative. So I like the curiosity especially for one aspect, that it helps us to wonder. So it's not like, why do I feel this? Why? I don't want to feel that way. Why always me, right? Why always on Monday I feel unmotivated? It's more of, I wonder how I will feel this Monday. I know that last Monday I felt completely down, but I wonder. So start to challenge your self-talk and start with this curiosity of, I wonder how it's going to be. I wonder what I will come up with, or I wonder what will stop me. I wonder what will be the obstacle. Okay, so allow your mind to wander, and also make your temptations more inconvenient. So the very good book about habits, that one of my favorite. I know that there are like a Power of Habits, Atomic Habits, but there are sometimes tough to go through, and it's tough to remember all the key essential knowledge from it. And one of my favorite is Better Than Before, what I've learned about making and breaking habits, by Gretchen Rubin. And she proposed that how we can make our temptations more inconvenient would be to place obstacles between ourselves and the temptation. And my example of one obstacle that is usually working for me, not because it's something really important, but it's because it's something bright and visual. Remember that we think a lot with images. Like our all brain and all cognition, so we all think with images. We express ourselves with words, right? But we think with images, even when it comes to feelings. So when I don't want to snack when working from home, and I snack a lot, I love snacking. I really love it. I go to fridge and I can even clean the fridge. I can see that there are fingertips on the fridge, so then I just clean it, and I just only quickly open it to check whether I can grab something else, like quick chocolate or something. So what I've done, and this is what I'm doing as soon as that my husband saw this and he said, don't do it, then I do it more often, just because I'm a mean partner, of course. I put a scarf, one big colorful scarf, the biggest and the most colorful I had. I don't have it now here. I just wanted to check, but I put it on the handles of the fridge. I tied it, and so it's not that easy to open the fridge. So first you need to take out the scarf. So this is my obstacle to make it more difficult to open the fridge automatically. Okay, because I know that I'm opening a fridge. It's not like I'm mindless, but I don't have this instant reaction and to stop myself. And seeing something outside like a scarf makes me like it makes me like a smile. It adds a little bit of the silliness. And it's like, oh, silly Beata, come back, go back to your laptop and do the work, okay? So, and it works for me. Another advice I can have for you is to make things you want to do as easy and as possible for yourself as you can, okay? So remove the roadblocks. So when you're trying to set up a new routine and you want to, after you finish work, you want to go for a run, set up all the clothes, put a sticky note, the brightest color, the neon pink or yellow, put a sticky note with a number 1 next to your laptop. That's 6 p.m. You shutting down at the laptop, and then you have your running shoes icon drawn there. And then you know that exactly next to you, you can't really stand up and go to get that, because when you stand up, you kind of like you will fall down because you have it on the floor. Okay, so put it next to you instantly. Make it annoy you, so you will execute this. Okay, and then if you want to refresh, if you want to grab a water or something else, put a sticky note. Like, this is how I create my habits. This is how I try to hack my habits, right? And there is also one strategy that I want to share with you. There is a 15-minute rule, and I'm testing it now, and so far it's working. I've learned about this 15 minutes rule only 2 weeks ago, but I'm doing this every day, and it's like, so far it's okay. So when you're about to procrastinate something, it's not because you're not good enough, or it's because your brain is panicking that it's not going to be that enjoyable. Maybe you're not prepared, and there is something else probably more important, right? So before you procrastinate, give yourself 15 minutes. The first 15 minutes to just sit and do the research, do a little bit of brainstorming. Take a blank page of paper and write down in the center what you want to do, what is the task, what is your focus point, and then write down all the ideas. So not necessarily just be glued to the screen and do the research and read the articles and something, but it's just like, let your mind to just think, come up with obstacles, with strategies, with things to think about. So spend the first 15 minutes for brainstorming, to be creative, to still think about it, not necessarily do it, but to think about it, okay? And it's important for you to set up an alarm for that 15 minutes. As soon as the alarm is off, then you close it and you do not continue, even though you may feel like, now I'm in a flow of creating. Yeah, no, shut it down. Shut it down. This is about mind training. You need to shut it down. So first 15 minutes, you keep it within the block 15 minutes. And then the next 15 minutes, the second 15 minutes, you can still think about it. You can continue doing the brainstorming, or you can start doing something more precise about that project. But you have to stop as well after 15 minutes is gone, okay? And from the third 15 minutes, you can continue, you can extend it if you want to, right? But this is how we start, because then the second and the second and third 15 minutes, you will feel less stressed and less panicky, because your brain will know that I already started working on that, okay? So you will not trigger this sensation that it's new, it's uncomfortable, and I don't want to do that. And you will not have to regulate that intense emotional like resistance toward that task. Okay, so to summarize, what I want you to do is try 15 minutes rule. Okay, make sure that for the first and the second you stop right after 15 minutes, and then from the third onwards you can continue. And I want you to pay attention to your emotions. Notice what you feel, right? Learn, upgrade your skills of coping and regulating emotions, not only managing, but regulating. Allow yourself to feel uncomfortable. So if you are into, I know, if you have psychologist, counselor, if you talk to someone like a third person about it, the best two like a therapeutic approaches that I found confirmation for, and when I apply it with some of my clients, is acceptance and commitment therapy that comes from CBT, so cognitive behavioral therapy. ACT is much more focused on increase, like in bringing a little bit of parts of mindfulness to accept and tolerate what's happening here. So then it's about updating and upgrading your skills to live the life you want to live, right? And ACT has a very like a important aspect that it builds up and strengthens everyone's psychological flexibility. And psychological flexibility is your ability to create a little bit of distance between what are your thoughts, what are the feelings, and tolerate that, see it, tolerate it, regulate it, and still take the action that you want to take. So if you want, you can do a short exercise with me. If you can raise your both hands and you can put it like this, and we're gonna pretend that everything negative, everything bad and heavy about yourself, your work, your performance is on your hands. Okay, and now I will sit a little bit on the side, and now I want you to bring your hands to the tip of your nose. Okay, and stay like this. Okay, to the tip of your nose, you see. And now with your hands like this, I want you to roll your eyes, move your eyes up and down, right and left, and notice, what do you see? How limited the view is, right? You can't see what's in front of you. You can see a little bit of ceiling, a little bit something on the right, left, but it's uncomfortable. And imagine that, how would that be if you spend your whole day like this with that limited vision, right? Keep holding it, keep holding. And now I want you to breathe in. And when you breathe out with exhalation, I want you to create 5 centimeter distance between your hands and the tip of your nose. Ready? Inhale. And breathe out, 5 centimeters distance. Okay, holding it a little bit better, right? More comfortable. You can see more. You feel more in control. All right, and now look at me. And now breathe in, and with the next exhalation, I want you to put your hands on your lap. Breathe in and breathe out. Put your hands down on your lap. Ah, better, right? Now you can see everything. So it's not about removing this. It's not about removing fighting or removing the negativity, the intensity, stress, criticism, setbacks. It's about being able to create a distance so it doesn't affect and cloud your mind. So it's not like this, like you go and work all day long like this because you have those thoughts interrupting you, right? But it's about and actually kind of accepting, not necessarily agreeing with it, but accepting that I won't cut off my hands. They will be here, they will be part of here, but I don't need them to be like this all the time because I don't need that protection. So we need to switch this, or we need to not necessarily switch the mindset, that's wrong. We need to make this switch in ourselves to be able to tolerate the stress, the uncomfortable sensations. That's why regulating our emotions will be the key to the procrastination, to the perfectionism, and to creating a better life. So that's that. This is what I wanted to share with you. This is why I was so excited. I was like, hey, procrastination is not actually about time or motivation. It's about regulating emotions and being able to upgrade your skills of tolerating the discomfort and stress. And so, and I told you there are two therapeutic approaches. So there is ACT, acceptance and commitment therapy, that comes from cognitive behavioral therapy. And I use a lot of ACT in my work. So if you want, plenty of my Instagram posts are based on ACT techniques. And the other technique is CBT. Not CBT, DBT. DBT, which is dialectical behavioral therapy. And this is focusing on 4 essential levels of regulation, emotional regulation. And the first one is mindfulness. Again, being able to notice what's happening. Without that, if you don't master this, don't try other skills. This is the fundamental, right? The second one is emotional regulation. Mindfulness, distress tolerance, emotional regulation, and interpersonal skills, which means how you communicate with others. So I found these 2 approaches the most effective. I very often blend them together for my clients. So if you have any questions, put it in the chat box, and we can go for the questions soon, I guess. So that's all for me. Thank you for practicing and staying quite attentive here with me. And yeah, Quiva, what do we do now? Do we do questions and answers, or tell me what to do next?
Thank you, Beata. That was incredible. So yeah, we're going to have a question and answer session. You know, on this today's event, we have Lena, who's been live scribing everything that Beata has been sharing with us. So we're going to get a little sneak preview of what Lena has been making. Beata, can I ask you to stop
sharing?
Mm-hmm. Then Lena can show us. There we go. Super cool. Beata, I know this is your first time seeing it, but would you like to take us through the summary of your talk?
Of course. I'm so impressed. I love this kind of work, and especially that. Remember that this kind of notes help us to memorize and store knowledge in our memory. And if you're gonna go through this kind of like a 1 page of organized notes with a key information, and go through this at least at the end of a day today. So give yourself around like 12 hours to process, 12 hours to process. Review it after 1 day, and then review it again 3 days after. Then whatever was interesting, important for you to know, to code it, then it's going to be coded in a short-term memory. So we will move it from a working memory and like being really focused and like, oh, really? Okay. Then we move it to a short-term memory, and it's going to be much easier accessible for later on. So good job, Lisa. Awesome. Thank you so much for making it. So raw spaghetti and cooked spaghetti, that was the strategy for you to use to go through if you feel stressed, release stress and tension. And that was a strategy from DBT, the dialectical behavioral therapy. What I want you to remember is that procrastination is about regulating your emotions. So focus what you feel and try different approaches, different ideas. If possible, visual ideas of how you can manage and regulate what you feel. Put some obstacles to, if you tend to go to the fridge, tie it, use scarf, line, whatever, rope, whatever you have, metal chain, cool, whatever you have, put it there. Okay. And try to tolerate a little bit of discomfort. We have a natural tendency, and especially for women, when we breathe, when we do yoga, when we exercise, we hate being interrupted. So for example, when I exercise and I have this, this hair here, what will I do? Instantly, okay, now I can breathe again. Now I can focus, right? Tolerate that. Be okay with this. Any fly or mosquito is next to you, fine. Ask yourself whether, can I survive like this for another 3 seconds? No, I can't. Okay. right? Maybe next time you will. So try to extend the period of tolerating something that is uncomfortable. And I'm talking here about small things. If you tolerate those small things, if you extend it a little bit, you're extending your window of tolerance, which means you're going to be less snappy, less on edge all the time. And it's going to be easier for you to tolerate something bigger, more engaging emotionally afterwards. Okay. So regulate emotions, tolerate your discomfort, and use the 15 minutes rule. So that's the summary.
Super. Thank you, Beata. And thank you, Lena. That was incredible. We're going to share that on our Instagram. So afterwards, everybody head over to Instagram so you'll be able to take a copy of Lena's summary of Beata's talk. So guys, we have some questions in the Miro board. I'll start running through them, and we'll also you can just shout it out if you didn't get a chance to write it into the notes or into the Miro board or into the chat, then raise a hand and just verbally say it to Beata. That's A-okay too. So let me read some of these questions to you. So Beata, what is the difference between procrastinating and just not getting around to doing something? Like, for example, if we had 2 weeks to create a report, and we're going to take those 2 weeks, but if we had 4 hours to create that report, we'd maybe get it done in 4 hours. Is there a difference between taking the amount of time we have to do something and procrastinating? Like, if we have a full day to get a run done, is it procrastinating if we just do it whenever?
It's up to you, like your decision. If you decide, if you kind of allocate, let's say 4 hours to do it, and you're okay to do it at the end of the day, and it's not causing or triggering any stress response that, oh, actually it may take a little bit longer, then that's fine. It's more of the delegating and managing your time and tasks, right? But very often be aware that procrastination is hidden after, or no, it's because we have procrastinating behaviors being activated. We might perform the task only when we trigger high level of stress. That's why we leave things till the very end, right? Because we then get stressed and then we get panicky that what if I will not be able to complete, and then we only execute and find this that we can perform under stress. It's okay for those people who have high stress tolerance, that it doesn't affect their body, but very often it does affect us mentally. So I wouldn't recommend that. I would still recommend using this 15 minutes rule to see if this will improve a little bit. Okay, so, and then there is also a difference between procrastination and a chronic procrastination. Chronic procrastination is a tendency to procrastinate in the long term, and to procrastinate almost without noticing that we are procrastinating, right? So it's almost like so automatic that we're not aware that we're procrastinating, right? So as soon as you get a new task, new idea, I would recommend to just do the first 15 minutes rule right away, or within the closest period. Let's say if you have 2 weeks to do some task, prepare for a report or something, then within the first 2 or 3 days, start brainstorming about it. So you can already regulate the stress level about that task. Yeah.
Great. Let me see if there's anything in the chat. I think they're mainly in the Miro board. So let me dig out another question for you, Beata.
Mm-hmm.
I love our Miro boards. They're so good. When is procrastination good, and when is it instead better to just take a small leap forward? So is there ever a benefit to procrastination?
Yes, but it's not healthy. Yes, because we will feel better. You'll get instant relief, but because this is instant reward, so our reward system in the brain is being activated for this instant release, that we don't have to do that now, then it's going to be more tempting to continue procrastinating behaviors. And that's why it's not healthy, right? So if you procrastinate, so let's say if you make a conscious decision that, oh, this task is tough, I don't feel really ready today because I feel quite drained. I can't really clarify my mind and thoughts. It's all chaotic. I feel exhausted after, I don't know, running events for the last 4 days. I will start next week. This is okay. This is not procrastination, right? So this kind of planning and listening to your mental and emotional energy and allowing your body to choose what activity you're going to engage in and how effective you're going to be, that's okay. But if you subconsciously go just like, oh no, oh, and then you do something else, this is procrastination. Okay.
Great, thank you. How to understand if it's procrastination or self-sabotage, or is procrastination always self-sabotage?
Procrastination is self-defeating behavior. It is self-sabotaging because it is based on the belief that you either will, like, you avoid emotions that this task is creating, and it's like this is the first belief, right? But the secondary belief, the secondary emotion that comes in, is that you are not strong enough to handle it now. And this is why it's self-sabotaging, because you are, but you need to practice getting better and more confident of using your own skills, right?
But yeah, so like we're all kind of familiar with this experience of procrastination. Is it something that pretty much everybody does it, or do you meet a lot of people who are like, they just don't really, they understand the concept, like the dictionary definition of the word, but it doesn't occur in their lives?
I haven't met a person who doesn't procrastinate.
I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't met a person. There are people who tends to be very straight to the point, and as soon as they get a task, it's like, okay, I'm gonna nail it. I'm gonna see how quickly I can do it. But there are like a 2% of us. The 98% of us are like, we like to let ourselves to feel more comfortable. We want to stay in a nice, happy bubble, right? And stay within the comfort zone. So yes, we do procrastinate. But then the question is how often, how automatically we procrastinate, and how much of self-defeating and self-sabotaging it is. Because my procrastination came to the point where as soon as I was opening my laptop, I was like, oh, and then the COVID came and I had to do everything on my laptop. And can you imagine my frustration? I was like, now everything what I love I need to transfer into the laptop. And that was impossible. So for the first 2 months of the circuit breaker or the lockdown, I was frustrated. I really am really grateful for everyone who lives with me, that they survived with me and they didn't let me sleep on a balcony, because I couldn't tolerate myself. I couldn't tolerate my emotions, right? So there are possibilities that our procrastination may take over, and the procrastination will become this, and procrastination will make this so difficult for us to live like that, right?
Is this because as humans, we are just so skilled at interweaving and interlayering all of these different kind of problems and thoughts and negative things? And so even opening your laptop, which maybe before, for example, what for me, like it could be, yeah, I don't really like doing the accounting side of my job, whatever. But then if I don't address it, it then becomes that I get triggered by opening my laptop. And so doing something else has also become stressful. Is that how we kind of layer things on?
Yes. So we need to start to peel. We need to start to peel this onion, and we'll see what is this key issue inside. Yeah.
Guys, I want to open the floor to anyone who has a question who would like to just unmute and share it with Beata. Please just shout it out. And taking Beata's point from earlier, there are no silly questions. Even if you think Beata has already explained it, but you just want to know a little bit more, let us know.
Or even if you want to say hi, that's nice as well.
Exactly. Just say hi.
I have a question in the board. Let me read it out loud. So it was basically, can procrastination be a natural response to burnout? And to give a brief explanation, as an emotional reaction, as you said, sometimes when I see myself procrastinating, I want to understand whether it's something that my body is telling me to slow down, basically when I'm feeling burnout. So I
Mhm.
just want to see if that excuse works, or is it just me to justify procrastination at some level?
Mhm. This is awesome question. I think that procrastination can easily be linked with burnout, but how you can test it, how you can see whether this is the procrastination or this is burnout, that's a little bit more heavy for the body and mind, would be this 15-minute rule. So try to apply it as soon as you feel on the urge to actually execute and start to procrastinate. Give yourself 15 minutes and observe how your body will feel, how you physically will feel. And then give yourself another 15 minutes, still cutting it after the 15 minutes is gone, and see whether there is any change. So approach each 15 minutes block with a curiosity to see how you will feel physically, but also mentally and emotionally. Because very often burnout is, we tend to see and recognize burnout because of the physical signs are already linked to to emotional and mental, right? But the emotional and mental comes first. But at the same time, when we talk about any signs that are mental and emotional, we can link it to anything, right? It's like stress. We can link it to burnout, to procrastination, to perfectionism, but actually we can also link it to eating disorders, to work-related stress. So it's important to kind of like give ourselves those blocks of time where we get curious to try to pinpoint exactly where our thoughts go. What is this? I often say language of thoughts, but what is the content of your thoughts? What are the words, the sequences? What are the images coming up? And how you feel in terms of energy. Try to rate your energy level on a scale from 1 to 10, where 10 is like great, the greatest. I always felt 10 when I was at my best, and 1 is like, no, I'm going to bed, I'm done, right? And see how you're going to feel in those blocks of 15 minutes, and give yourself at least 3, maybe even 4 blocks of 15 minutes to check that, to monitor. And after you do that, email me, and we will see how else you can take it, and how else, what you found out from that. Okay. Thank you for asking a question.
Thank you.
Thank you, Guillermo. Guys, we're coming towards the end, and I want to make sure that we get our group shot. If anyone who hasn't got their camera on feels comfortable, please turn it on just for a second. Yes, Helena, fantastic. Fernanda, excellent. Anybody else? Letitia, great. Anders, do you want to turn on your camera? Brilliant. Osa, Layli, Ava, Jennifer, Cecile, brilliant. Okay, we got our cameras turning on. Everybody
Look, everyone is smiling. Weird.
Anybody else? Maria, fantastic. Sonia, great. Okay, great. Oh,
we even have a baby.
Yes, Ava, welcome. We got a mini-me joining. So good. Okay, guys, when you're ready, I'm going to take a screenshot of us. Smile, cheese. Great. Thank you, everybody, for turning on your cameras. I know sometimes it's a pain in the bum. Great. Oh, cute smiles from Jennifer and her and her mini-me. Guys, Beata, thank you so much for today. It's been so informative, learned so many tools that I'm going to take away now and put into practice. And Beata, expect some questions from me. Everybody, make sure you take Beata up on her really generous offer to reply to your questions about today's talk, about your experience of procrastination, your 15-minute slots when you engage with your thoughts, you let your mind wander, let yourself get curious, sense what's happening in your body. Take that time for yourself to really explore and to know that we have the power to change and transform our experience. We have the power to give ourselves a better experience through training in the best, most compassionate, gentle way. So thank you so much to everybody. Make sure you get into the Miro board as well. We'll leave that open for the next few hours. And if there are any additional questions that you write in there for Beata, we'll make sure to send them on. And all of Beata's details are in there. We also have some great community announcements in there, which we don't have time to share with everybody just now, but I know some of you guys have shared your contact details in there. So let us all get in there and connect. It's great. Thank you, Anna, for creating our Miro board. So guys, we will see you next month. The topic is resilience. It's like a theme. We're going from procrastination to resilience, just getting mentally stronger and stronger. Have a wonderful Friday and see you guys soon.